Welcome Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name's Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of the new Netflix original, Frontier. Frontier takes us back to the 1700s and tells us a story about the cutthroat business of fur trading. The show follows several characters as different groups fight for control and money and furs, I guess. A young Irishman finds himself in a difficult position. He has to work for the Hudson Bay Company, the company that has a monopoly on the fur trade, in order to save his girlfriend. The mission he has to carry out for the company is infiltrating Declan Harp's camp. Declan Harp is the merciless, half-Irish, half-Cree fur trader who's trying to break the Hudson Bay Company's monopoly. So you have the company, you have Declan, you have this guy who's trying to save his girl, and you have other businessmen also trying to get a piece of the fur trading pie. First of all, this is a super quick watch. 6 episodes, about 50 minutes each. So for me, I thought, hey, Jason Momoa was great in Game of Thrones. I really like period pieces, and Netflix has generally been killing it with original shows. What could go wrong? Basically, this show feels like they had all the ingredients to make a really good meal, but then they didn't really follow the recipe and put too much of this and too little of that, and it came out like, okay, nothing special. Like, it looks really good and it has all the things you really like, but somehow it just didn't turn out great. So the main thing that stood out for me is that this show is not about Declan Harp. He was all over the trailer, he's on the poster, they make it seem like he's the main character, but he's actually not in the show all that much. I mean, he's in every episode, but he doesn't get a lot of screen time compared to some of the other characters. The show focuses on the guy trying to save his girlfriend, and that guy is not a very interesting character. Declan Harp is an interesting character. I think the show would have been a lot better if they had just focused on him, on Declan Harp, and had the other guy kind of in the background, secondary to Declan's story, and not the other way around. So in shows like this, big period pieces, the focus can either be on the style, you know, making the show look really cool and the action being really awesome, or the story, having lots of politics and intrigue and interesting and deep characters. Rarely do you get a show that does both of these things very well. Then, of course, you get an amazing show like Vikings. But when you try to do both and it doesn't really work, you get a show that feels a bit bland. Like, in my opinion, Marco Polo, which was fun, but wasn't great. In Frontier, the action's pretty cool and fun, but you don't get a lot of it. The story I found kind of interesting, but only parts of it, and most of the characters were very typical characters. It felt like they just took a few characters from the background of Turn, Washington Spies, and kind of said like, okay, here's a show. Let's do a show about you. Jason Momoa is pretty great, but again, you don't get a lot of him. His character doesn't really get fleshed out, and the villain he goes up against is pretty much generic British villain number 74, like a drag and drop character. Considering everything they had here, this could have been a much better show, or maybe they should have focused on the action, making the action really cool, or on making a deeper story. Because for me, it seemed like they weren't really able to pull off both. Bottom line, should you watch it? Right now, I'd say probably wait for season 2, because it feels like season 2 of this show can still be what this show can be. They can still use the setting and some of the characters in a way that will live up to, you know, all of these really great ingredients to make a delicious meal. What about you? Have you watched season 1 of Frontier on Netflix? What do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Just be sure to use spoiler tags if you're going to be talking about spoilers. If you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel or click around to see some of the other reviews we have up on the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.